Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Vishwagatu and this is VG Studios. In the previous video, we learned about the if statement and its various applications in Python. Today, we shall be learning about loops in Python, and to be more precise, the while loop and the for loop. Firstly, as it is important to know why we need to learn something before we actually learn about it, I want to talk about the uses of loops in Python and the applications. Examples of the applications of loops in Python are compound interest calculations, simulations, event-driven programs, and so on. Loops are mainly used when we need our program to repeatedly execute a set of instructions if a certain condition is true. So let us start with an example. Let's say that we need to calculate how many years it would take for $100 to become $1,000 if we were to earn a compound interest of 10% every year. Let's start off by naming our variables first. Year is equal to 0, rate is equal to 0.1 because it's 10%, amount is equal to 100 because that's what we start with, and target is equal to 1000 because that is our target. So the plan is to keep multiplying the amount by interest and add that to the amount every time while increasing the year by 1 every time that we do this until we reach our target. So let me give you a task that you can try doing yourself and get back to me later on if you have any questions. Create a program that will use an integer variable to store a value and print the phrase "Hello World" on those many number of lines. There are mainly two types of while loops, namely count-controlled loops and event-controlled loops. Count-controlled while loops are loops that are controlled by a counter and they run the loop until there's a change in the counter that affects the condition of the loop. For example, you can assign the value 10 to a counter variable and have a while loop be executed 10 times. Event-controlled loops, on the other hand, are loops that are controlled by an event, and they run until an event occurs. An example of this is the while loop that calculates how many years it takes to achieve a target amount by earning interest over an initial amount that we just learned a few minutes ago. Now, anything associated with coding can have errors on execution, and if you have tried to write a while loop by yourself, chances are that you have run into one of these errors, and these errors include incorrect test condition. In any case, if the condition given to the while loop cannot be satisfied, we face what is known as an incorrect test condition. For example, if you want the loop to stop when amount is equal to or greater than the target, but instead of using greater than or equal to, you use less than or equal to, the while loop will never run as balance is less than the target at the start. Infinite loop. If the loop is to be executed until there is a change in the condition, but the condition does not change over the course of loop execution, we face an error known as an infinite loop. Off by one error. This is an error that you won't be notified about by Python, but you shall notice. If you set a counter variable to 1 instead of 0, for instance, you might get a result 1 less than the one you are expecting. To strengthen our understanding of the while loop, let's go through one more example. If you want to make a program that shall accept number inputs from the user and outputs the sum, you can do this. Now let's talk about the second kind of loop, the for loop. This is pretty similar to a while loop and can be used to execute actions based on the contents of a container. A container is an object that stores a collection of elements, such as a string is a collection of string elements. Now let's do an example. An important difference to note between the while loop and the for loop is that in a while loop there's an index variable that we use, such as 0, 1, 2 and so on. However, in a for loop we use an element variable such as container 0, container 1 and so on. For example, if you were to take an input from the user and print each letter on a different line, you can also use a for loop as a count controlled loop. For example, if you want to print something 10 times, there are also two main types of syntax to use in a for loop. These include a container. In this for loop, each loop is executed for an element in the container, such as for letter in hello, print letter \n will run a loop per letter in the word hello, which is 5 times. Range. You can also use a for loop to execute as many times as a specific range, such as a for loop that is executed for the range 0 to 5 will be executed once per number between 0 and 5. One thing to keep in mind about a for loop is that you have to use the right range, and the second number in a range function is not counted. So if you are to print every number in range 0 to 5, 0 shall be included but not 5. So it will print 5 numbers but not the number 5. Also, for loops make some tasks easier compared to while loops and reduce the number of lines used. For example, for asymmetric bounds, this while loop can be shortened by using another for loop instead. As the bonus section of this video, I want to talk about the input function. This is a really important function as it lets you take input from the user and assign it to a variable and use it in the program. This helps the user gain control over the results that they receive, and it also helps programmers to create user-oriented programs. Here are examples of the input function in order for you to use it. You can also try this example on your own. So today we learned about the while loop, count controlled while loops, event controlled while loops, while loop errors, incorrect test condition, infinite loop, off by one error, and finally the for loop, containers and range. We also learned about the input function and a few examples about that. Thanks for watching my video, guys. If you liked it, please don't forget to leave a like, subscribe and comment on my video. And please don't forget to share this video with your friends or whoever wants to learn Python. Thank you. Stay home, stay safe.